Okay, dear distinguished contestants, let's give the big welcome to our today's speech guest, Wei Wei. Wei Wei is working in TikTok Shop Vietnam, where she is in charge of the e-commerce strategy. She used to have a very diverse career exposures from the investment of the FMCG to internet companies. Whereas she also has worked in United States, in China, and in Southeast Asia, have a various of the culture environment. And she has working experience in domestic U.S. company, multinational companies, and domestic China startup, and also different like investment funds. She is also right now an influencer in China's social media platform where she shared a lot of her experience and insights about her works in Southeast Asia. So today, let's give the best welcome to our distinguished speaker, Wei Wei. And here we prepare a lot of the questions for you guys. But as in the beginning, I still want to invite you to deliver your speech and also introduce yourself a little bit to our contestants.
Okay, great. Thank you for introduction, and it's actually my great honor to be here. So for me, I think you have already introduced a lot of my past experience. So I currently work in TikTok Shop Vietnam, and I am in charge of e-commerce strategy. And before TikTok, I was working in a domestic China FMCG company. Specifically, it's a food and beverage company, which is called Thank You Forest. I don't know whether you guys know of it, but it's a very a quite fast speed growing company in China in FMCG industry, and I was in charge of some new brands in that company. And before that, I was doing venture investment in some internet companies in China. So so I have going through a lot of different industries and also experienced a lot of different companies with different style. And before I work in investment fund in China, I was working in New York, a startup in New York, which is a financial in financial industry. It's more like a to B business. And I did my graduate school in the United States. I was in Johns Hopkins University, and before that, I was doing my college in Jiao Tong University in Shanghai. Yeah, so that's very brief introduction.
Really impressive. I like also introduce a little bit about like today our topics. So based on Weiwei's great experience, we identify 4 of the questions I think most of our contestants must feel very curious about. So first we want to discuss with Weiwei about like the cross culture experience you ever like did before. So as like you introduced, like you work in multiple like nations and area, so cross of like of experiencing like the culture, how does your like work at TikTok involve the cooperation with colleagues and users from the diverse culture like backgrounds?
Yes, for sure. So, so I'm currently doing Vietnam market, which is a totally foreign market to me. So when I came in my TikTok Vietnam, there was a lot of culture shock. I wouldn't say shock, but it's more like difference. For example, so right now, because I'm in local operation team, so 95% of my colleagues, they are all local Vietnamese. And as foreigner, although we probably know more about how like TikTok works because it's totally the same product logic with China version Douyin, right? But still, we especially for e-commerce, there are a lot of different things that you need to follow as local culture. And like local customers, they have different habits in shopping in e-commerce. So when I just came here, I think local colleagues, they gave me a lot of feedback on like how local customers they care about when they do shopping. For example, because I think China, I mean each country very, very different, right? So for Vietnam, although the e-commerce grows very, very fast, but the penetration rate is still much lower than China. So people, and it's still a very early stage for e-commerce in Vietnam. So we need to, it's not like, although we are a content based e-commerce platform, but we also need to follow a lot of like shelf e-commerce platform like Shopee or Lazada, what they have done in what they have educated the local customers. So for example, the campaigns, the payday. For them, payday is a very interesting example for it because in Vietnam, in TikTok Vietnam, or in all e-commerce platforms in Vietnam, we will all have payday campaign for each month. Basically, it means when people here get their salary by the end of each month, we will organize a campaign e-commerce for people to buy stuff. But in China, we wouldn't have this monthly like a payday, right, campaign, because Southeast Asian customers, they are very young. The average age in Vietnam is around 31 years old. So people are more willing to consume after they get a salary, because they are very young and they don't save money like Chinese society right now does, right? So I think local colleagues, they told me about the customers' habits a lot. So I think to me it's more like to respect local markets and respect the feedback from local colleagues. This is quite important, and I learned this a lot when I just came into TikTok, because like when you are starting to do a new market, you prefer to leveraging your previous experience like in China, but then when you do e-commerce outside of the country, you realize, oh, you have to respect local customers and local market. Yes.
Yes, I think like not only these questions like will give us a perfect answer, and also like you gave us insight for many entrepreneurs who are not like in Southeast Asia, or like maybe they are like located in China and other countries, to understand why TikTok have so many big sales day. I think it really respected about the local culture. So the following question is about like how does the TikTok balance the need of the global consistency with the need to respect the local customers and the value?
Okay, this is actually a very good question, and I think I can answer your question from our organization structure of TikTok. So the global consistency is basically, you can see like no matter which country you are, the TikTok app, this app is almost the same, right? We also have some specific features for each country, but in general, this app is universe across all the countries except for China. So you like no matter where you are, all the users, they have same product features, they have the same buttons. And then for TikTok, then you can like your others post, you can follow influencers. It's all the same. So product function is all the same. This is how we do TikTok. How we maintain the consistency of TikTok app. And we have internally, we have product structure. So basically, we have a lot of product managers, PM, and we have developers. They will maintain the operation of TikTok app, all the product functions, and they will optimize the product functions. These are all done by product team. And about the local customization, we have a lot of local operation team. For example, I am in local operation team. So I'm in Vietnam local operation team. So 95% of our employees are local Vietnamese, and they will do all the operation related stuff, because here in TikTok, product and operation are two different teams, especially for e-commerce, because e-commerce is very, very relying on local sellers, local creators, local customers. So it has to be totally localization. So that's why we have all of our employees to be local Vietnamese. Then they can talk with local Vietnamese sellers, they can talk with creators, they can understand how what is the trend among local customers. So for operation side, we hire all local people to do that. But for product function, it's more universe for all the countries.
I think like we will give us like a very deep and very like a practical answer about like the very complex questions. To be honest, I think the question is really a little bit like challenging for most of our for our guests to answer. But I think we will elaborate it very well from a very internet oriented perspective. So I think like apart from like your current work in an internet company, you also have like a very multiple and very diverse working experience through your like career path. So I think the next part, also many of our contestants will feel curious and want to learn something from your insights. It's about like a career path, like experience and sharing. So what sparked your interest in technology and social media, and how did you come to join the TikTok from the traditional like a financial fund and also from like the FMCG industry, since like FMCG industry is also a very big industry in the business like scenarios. So we like to know your insights.
Okay, so there are actually two questions, right? One is what sparked my interest in TikTok and or social media internet, and one is what drives me to change my to shift my career path.
Transferring, yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, to be honest, I didn't sign up for joining TikTok. So actually, their HR, I don't know how they get my contact information, but they just call me very I think also randomly to them and to me. So well, more than 2 years ago, they called me very randomly. They told me that they are HR from TikTok and they were hiring some e-commerce position for Southeast Asia countries. I did not really very into this position at the time, but I was curious about how TikTok works and what kind of like business they are currently exploring. So I want to have a talk with the interviewers at the time. So I agreed to join the interview, and the interview actually has had 3 rounds, and each round per day. So only 3 days I passed all the interview, and they were very urgent to give me the offer and ask me to join as soon as possible. So it was all by coincidence. But I think generally, what drive me to join TikTok is by my curiosity. I think curiosity is the very consistent word for me as a human being. So you can see, as I shared before, I have been in a lot of different industries, a lot of kind of countries, and different type of companies, and also different roles. I think I think curiosity is the word that helped me to try to chase after different career roles and career goals all the time. So I joined TikTok because I was curious about how can they grow that fast, and how such a big, very very big corporation, right, has thousands of employees in different countries, and how could these big firms run so well, and how can it do so well in terms of international globalization, right? Because it's a Chinese, well, can we say that? Can we say it's yes, but basically its mother company is a Chinese company. So how do so well in its globalization and localization? I was very curious about that, so I chose to join TikTok, and I was also chasing after for growth. No matter my self growth or the growth of the company, I think this is always something that drives me to go. So TikTok was the fastest growing company. So I think it would be a very exciting journey for me, and I could be exposed to a lot of new things, and also the role is in Southeast Asia. So I just feel very excited and very different from what I have done before. Then I chose to join TikTok. And actually, at first, the 2 months when I joined TikTok, I feel very stressful because I never really be that into internet operation previously. I was doing financial. Financial is more like do a lot of research and you come up with some conclusion about whether you want to invest in this firm or not, but you never really dip into the operation in a specific company and specific business line. But in TikTok, I collaborate with my local colleagues a lot, and we diagnosis of the problems that our sellers are facing and diagnose all the customer needs that local markets is having. So it's very a very different industry and very different culture and company environment. But after 2 months, I think I got used to that. Then everything becomes great for me. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So I just want to skip a little bit, like like from this part about like empower, like about your career path explanations. I think we will go back like later, but like from your speech, I just find one thing very interesting and want to explore a little bit more. So it's about like, as you said, like the startup or like the local sellers, maybe the TikTok is their first station to experience about the e-commerce. So that must be very challenging for them, especially for the women in a more empowered position. So what kind of the obstacles like most of the local female sellers will experience in the startup about the business on TikTok?
Okay, so you mean TikTok sellers? Oh, you mean Vietnamese sellers, right?
Yes.
I think first of all is the business model, because I think well, we are not only a content e-commerce platform, we are also a self-commerce platform. We are like very comprehensive. So we have our TikTok shopping center, and we also have videos and live stream, right? So it's a complicated business model, like Shopee or Lazada. So I think understanding the business is quite is the first difficult thing to the local women sellers, and it's not only this obstacle for sellers, but it's also a obstacle for a lot of local employees, because we hire those employees who are also very unfamiliar with this business model, because they're quite new in Vietnam, in Southeast Asia. So all of our employees and our sellers, they need to learn every day. And because we also change a lot, because we are very like a startup in Southeast Asia countries, so we also adjust a lot of our policy all the time. So our sellers, they have to understand, have to follow the rule of the platform every day, every week, every month. So I think it's something challenging for them. But I wouldn't say it's an obstacle. It's more like challenging, but you can fix it. So I think there are a lot of sellers. They're faster learner, and they learn very fast, even faster than our employees. Then they can grow as the growth of the platform. So I think this is the one thing. And another thing for local sellers, I think is language barrier would be something, because well, it's not a very big thing, but because because we have all our Vietnamese employees here to help sellers. But I think sometimes they have to read some English version policy or rules,
like some term.
Yes. So I think because it's international, right now, like globalization grow very fast, and TikTok connects every country and connects like supply chain from China to in different countries. So they have to understand each other by language. So I think to English, language barrier could be an obstacle for some sellers. And also because those sellers sometimes they are not very rich in supply chain. So sometimes they need to introduce China supply chain to local market, and then they can sell supply chain for China. Then the language barrier will become even bigger, because they both speak English and they both don't speak Chinese. They don't speak Vietnamese.
Like, sure.
So I think this one could be an obstacle for some sellers. And also I think because actually e-commerce is a very tough work. I bet you guys probably understand that, right? Because if you do live stream, in China, a lot of sellers, they do live stream 24 hours. So as a startup like owner, you have to watch out every details by yourself. So it could be very tiring when you just start this business, especially for female sellers, because we probably don't have that much energy as a man can have. So I think it's something could be a hard thing for some female sellers.
Got it. So I think like we really explain it very well about like what's the facts and what's the challenging like the local female sellers come from with. So let's go back to the first part. The previous part is about like still sharing about your career path. So the second questions in that part is like any soft skills you think like has played a very essential role in your career path and in your career life?
Yes, for sure. I think first, the most important one to me is fast learning capability. Because for me, I think I might be a little bit different with other people because I have changed my career, industry, and role all the time. So each time I have to learn very quickly about the whole industry, about the business model, about how I can deliver my targets in a short time frame, because like quite right now the career is very competitive. So I think be a fast learner is a very important thing. And also because like for example TikTok or a lot of things in the world, they are changing very fast, and you have to catch up with the trend, catch up with the business, then you can excel in your own role. So I think fast learning is very keep learning. I think it's quite important, and prepare for new stuff. Always prepare yourself for new stuff is a very important capability for all the people. And I think secondly is what something I have mentioned before is curiosity. It's some kind of like related to fast learning, because you have to have curiosity, then you will be willing to learn, right? But I think curiosity is quite important. It's something that drives you to always learn more, to always open your exposure more than your role, right? Like because if you limit yourself in a certain role, then you will only be limited in this role. If you want to like chase after other potential opportunities, then you probably lose the opportunities. So I think curiosity is quite is very also very important. And I think certainly is be down to earth. I think is very, very important. Be down to earth, and be a responsible person. I think it's so important, because a lot of work, they're very complicated, but actually you start to do it, you realize, oh, it's actually not that hard. It's just whether you want to be down to earth, down to details, whether you want to be a responsible person, right? For example, in my current role, I think it looks quite complicated, like different business models, a lot of stakeholders involving, like creators, sellers, customers, blah blah blah. But when you really like sit down and try to understand how that works and try to work that out, you will realize it's not that complicated. It's just that you have to pay attention to a lot of details and try to optimize everything that you are currently doing, and try to think of the ways to improve your efficiency. So be a responsible person. This is quite important, especially in a big corporation, because like in big corporations, it's very easy that you drop something by accident. So you have to be the one who is always responsible for your results. Then you really deliver the results in such a big corporation.
Got it. Especially like in the big like institutions or like the structures, like maybe like one position have like a different like people playing the roles. So if everyone avoids the obligations, like the works will be massive. So I totally understand like with like a very strong soft skills, like you think playing the essential role. And next part, like I think most of the people and also not just our contestants, also like many like institutions or parties outside from the TikTok feel very curious and interesting about. It's about like how TikTok will empower the woman playing an essential role in the business scenario. So my first question is like, how can TikTok create a more inclusive and supportive environment for women to thrive their like roles in such a like no matter e-commerce or tech industry?
I think I think first of all, TikTok uh never really care about your gender. Like they wouldn't give you like discrimination just because of gender. I'll give you a very concrete example. So when I did a lot of interview, we never I never got any questions like how old are you? Like have you married, or like do you have a baby or something like that? But when I interview with other companies, yes, I really got this kind of questions, right? But
Very offensive.
yeah, but when I interviewed with TikTok, they never really care about this. And after I joined TikTok, I found there are a lot of female leaders, and a lot of them, they are pregnant, or that they have had babies when they were working in TikTok. So and you don't have to like worry about what if after I had a baby, will it be harder for me to get promoted, or will I be like kicked off after I have the baby? It's never been a problem in TikTok, because I have seen a lot of like great examples in TikTok. Um, and also I think TikTok is a very um inclusive organization. It always like I mean, for example, my leader, he care about our health, about our personal privacy, or like say personal health a lot. When you sometimes when you want to take a day off or take some days off, like to be with your family, or to you have some personal stuff, they always understand this very well, and they prove your all the days off very quickly. It's very different from what other companies are doing, are practicing. So I feel very warm when I work in TikTok, and I feel I am respected by the company when I work in TikTok. So yeah, and we have quite a lot of vacations, holidays issued by the company, and they respect your family time and respect your, like for women they have like pregnancy vacation, and they have like probably have some marriage vacation, this kind of stuff. TikTok always provide those kind of benefits to employees.
I think like your answer really attractive to most of our contestants. I think they can't wait like doing the business, or like doing the business with TikTok, or even applying a job or like offer in TikTok. So like I think most of our like contestants will feel very interested about like how to do the business on TikTok, since we are like the APEC Women Connect, and this project is mainly for engaging the female entrepreneurs to doing their own business. So what kind of the suggestion you're gonna share with the women who are interested in starting up like a business with TikTok e-commerce?
Okay. Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a very right choice to do business in TikTok, because TikTok is growing very, very fast. And I've seen a lot of sellers, they have been quite a big seller with the growth of TikTok. And the things that you have prepared before you open a shop in TikTok is not that hard. So I think I really welcome everyone to try that in TikTok platform. And in terms of suggestions, I think first of all, do research. I think it's very important, because there are a lot of people, they have already been selling products in TikTok. So they have a lot of like knowledge that they share in different social media, in website, like how what kind of materials you have to prepare before you open a shop, and what are some probably like difficulties that you have fixed before, and what are some important things that cash flow, right? They have to have some cash flow, and you should have some of your supply chain, and you should have a very strong operation team to do like live stream or content, this kind of like basic preparation stuff that you can all do. You can do research for all of them on the internet. I think this is the first one that I hope everyone can do some research, and to think about what is the advantage, because like a lot of people, they are TikTok sellers, but they have different advantage. For example, some people, they are good at doing content. They are very creative. They can create very viral content in TikTok to drive sales. And some people, they are very good at like doing live stream. For example, in Vietnam, we have a lot of local sellers. They just start from a couple, and what the wife do live stream and the husband does supply chain. So and their advantage turns out to be the wife is very good at doing live streaming. So we have some top creators who just started as that, as a couple studio. So you have to think about your advantage. Maybe, or of course, you can have advantage in supply chain. Like you can always have very constant but cheap. You have a like partner or something. So think about your advantage, and also when you select the products that you want to sell, it's also very important, because you have to think about, oh, do I want to do like cosmetics, or do I want to do electronic stuff? Because I think the business model will be different. For example, because the margin for cosmetics and personal care is relatively high, it's much higher than electronic stuff. So then you probably will leverage more ads. TikTok ads, we have different kind of ads when you do cosmetics. But for electronics, because the margin is not that high, so you probably wouldn't have that high margin for doing ads. Then you have to control your ROI when you run ads, and you have to have a very good supply chain to make sure that the cost for you is not that high. So I mean, my suggestion, back to your question, my suggestion is to think about it thoroughly before you open a shop. Then after you select the product, you should try very, very hard, because it's not that easy to make the first order. But after you make the first order, you understand how that runs. Then you can make like 10 or 100 and 1,000 orders. So yeah, and give yourself more time to try different ways, and have some patience. Yes.
Got it. And also, I think like as we mentioned before, like follow the TikTok like policy is also very important. Like, but I think it can be involved into the research stage. And also like our last question, since our conversation and like interview almost end, our final question will be a little bit like direct. So what specific skills or experience are valuable for women who want to like work in social media or works in such like TikTok, that kind of the very popular or like top companies?
Well, I think it's actually up to the role specifically, right? For example, you studied computer science, and then you definitely can do a coder in TikTok or other internet firms. If your role is more like operational person, then you should be very detail oriented, because operation is a very detail oriented work. Like our account managers, they have to answer quite different kind of questions from sellers or creators every day, even every hour. So you have to be very down to earth, very down to details. And if you do like product manager, then you need to understand the customers. You need to do a lot of customer research, and you need to be someone who is really picky about product. And if you like me, I'm doing like strategy, you need to be you need to have independent thinking capability. You do a lot of research, and from a lot of like different informations, you have to come up with your logical ways of resolving the problems. So I think different roles, they require different kind of capabilities, but in general, it's actually a bit back to my previous answer. You need to be a fast learner. You need to be a responsible person. You need to always be prepared for new challenges. You have the willing to take new challenges. And you are proactive. Yeah, this is also very important. You are proactive to take challenges and to solve the new problems every day, because it's a very because I mean the internet companies like social media, different kind of e-commerce platforms, they are all growing and changing every day. So you need to adjust yourself to adapt to the culture, the growth of the employers.
Got it. I think that we already finished all of about like the answers today. We will really share with us about like the most valuable insights from the first hand of the TikTok. And I hope like that kind of the lessons can really inspire about our contestants to dig it deeper about like how to set up your entrepreneurships in your future career. And also like we with like a very diverse culture, like a cross culture like a background, and also the understanding also can introduce us for the future career success. So like I will represent all of the contestants and all of the audiences, give the very sincere like appreciations for Weiwei's today's time and the attendance for us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye.